has made significant strides by securing 50% convictions, it says, of those involved in COVID-19 related corruption. The center is part of a group of law enforcement agencies that have teamed up to investigate corruption cases linked to the pandemic. We are now joined to discuss some of the strides that have been made with Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya. He heads the Hawks. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. I must admit that it was quite a challenge to collate some of the information in terms of some of the people that were involved, and so we're going to be, or the government departments and private individuals that were involved, so we're going to be relying on you heavily. If you could please, maybe let's start with the Fusion Center. What was the idea and who is involved?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. In May 2020, the DPSTI, as part of the National Priority Crime Operational Committee, together with the other entities within the government, decided that there is a need to collaborate in dealing with fraud, corruption, money laundering, and tender irregularities that concern the COVID-19 related funding. So based on that, we created this Fusion Center in the Financial Intelligence Center, where we shall collaborate, coordinate all our activities. That is where we agreed that indeed we need to be working together in the Fusion Center, which is something that we were already thinking about establishing the center to deal with other matters. But because of the COVID-19, we decided to start with the COVID-19 related corruption and fraud. As of now, we have given the results of the activities, the successes that were achieved. And we have also given an indication as to how are we going to move forward, because the matters of COVID are almost finalized. It's just a few matters that still need to be finalized investigation-wise, but otherwise a number of these matters are already at court. We also have indicated that since we have started, we arrested, we secured before court 168 accused persons. And we have also indicated that we have secured convictions on 94 accused persons. This is 51 of those are natural persons, and 43 are entities, companies. So that shows that there has been a good work that was put in place. And when you look at the acquittal rate, out of all these convictions, we had only 6 acquittals, which means that the conviction rate was 94% and the acquittal rate was 6%. We still have got 48 cases on the court roll. So we are not counting a number of accused persons, we are counting a number of cases, because some of the cases have got more than one accused person. So we thought that now that we have reached this stage, we need to extend the mandate of the Fusion Center so that we focus on other activities. That is, in short, where the idea of the Fusion Center came from.
Okay. General Lebeya, if you could please assist us, has the center been able to determine how much in total was leaked in terms of monies that were lost? Because just this year, President Cyril Ramaphosa, speaking at the review session of the 2019 election manifesto, was asked about the COVID-19 corruption that took place in the country. And he said at the time that the reality that people were stealing public money at a time when people were dying left him depressed. Have we been able to determine how much in totality was lost?
At this stage, I haven't brought the information regarding the figure, the total figure of how much could have been lost part of the figures that we normally talk about are potential, where some of these things were stopped. As you shall have seen when we released the success figures, we also have indicated where we have recovered some of the assets. So I'm not in a position now at this stage to indicate how much of the amount that was available was stolen. So at this stage, I'm not able to indicate the figure.
Okay, sir. Our business editor, Xolani Mbanja, was quite helpful in terms of trying to put together the stories that we have heard of over the years, right? We're now, fetching 4 years, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, since this happened. And so there were a number of government departments that were identified, and it's public information. COGTA, the Police Ministry, Gauteng Health, the Education Department, SANDF, and so it goes. So with these departments, are you able to maybe assist in terms of recoveries or convictions that you know of, at least in these departments? Has there been some accountability? We're trying to understand.
There are convictions that have been secured. As I say, I did not make a breakdown of these 51 individuals. I have not made a breakdown of these 43 entities, but maybe a given time, one will be able to make that breakdown and say that out of this 51, where does the individuals come from? What we have done yesterday when we were doing the briefing was just to cite 3 examples, because if we were to talk about all 94, it need more time. We just cited 3 examples. 2 of those examples, we cited the chartered accountants that were involved in making application to the TERS UIF, pretending that they are assisting companies when they were not. In those 2 matters, the chartered accountants were convicted and sentenced. The other example that we have cited was a taxi organization in the Eastern Cape, of which matter is still criminally pending before court. So we just cited those 2 examples, but indeed there were different environment, including government departments, where the accused persons were secured before the courts.
Okay. General Lebeya, there was a committee of ministers that was also set up on the 6th of August in 2020 that included ministers, and the minister in the presidency at the time, the Justice and Correctional Services Minister, the Finance Minister, the Minister of Police, the Public Service Minister, and the Cooperative Governance Minister at the time as well. And so this committee of ministers that was set up by President Cyril Ramaphosa at the time to also work in conjunction with agencies like yourselves, how helpful were they in securing some of the convictions that you have spoken of?
As a law enforcement, obviously we source information from various quarters. Wherever information is coming, we have to access it in terms of the existing laws, so that our investigation is impartial, independent, and is not influenced. So whatever information was made available, we followed on that. We shall have indicated that part of the information we shall have obtained from the AGSA, some of the information we were checking on what was appearing in the media space, some of the information we were gathering from the informants in the particular environment where corruption, theft could have been taking place. So whatever information was made available, we followed on that, and we appreciate all of those who played a role, either by informing us or by directing us in a specific area where we need to be looking at. So every information is helpful. It's just a matter of analysis and check the evidential value when we go to court.
Speaking of the courts, General Lebeya, do we know which courts have dealt with these cases? Because at the time as well, it was said that special courts need to be set up, similar to what we saw in light of 2010 with the World Cup and the corruption that took place there.
The matters were dealt with in different courts. As you will understand that these crimes were committed in different provinces. There are matters that have been serving before the specialized commercial crime courts. There are other matters that shall have served at the high courts. So it is a matter of dedication that the prosecutors that were looking at the matter decide which court will be better suited to deal with that particular case. The crimes themselves, you have got corruption among them. You have got commercial related cases, those that are pure fraud. So the prosecuting authority was the one that was to determine which court will better be suited to deal with a particular matter.
General Lebeya, you mentioned a little bit earlier on that you're calling for the mandate of the center, the fusion center, to be extended in order to focus on other activity. What would the other activity be?
The other activities that we are looking at, we want to be also looking at serious organized crime in general. We also want to be looking at other serious commercial crime, not necessarily focusing on COVID alone. We also want to look at other serious corruption, expanding from what we were dealing with when it relates to COVID. We also want to be focusing on money laundering, which obviously go in the field of FATF, where we need to be moving out of the grey listing as the institution shall have put us on a grey listing. We want to also be looking at the terror financing activities. Those are part of the things that we want to be expanding the mandate of the Fusion Center to focus on. So with regard to the finance part, the proceeds of criminal activities, those are also where civilly the asset forfeiture unit, the SIU, the Financial Intelligence Center, and the SARS will also be coming in. So that will be part of the focus, which doesn't necessarily limit ourselves to COVID-19 related cases.
All right. General Lebeya, just a final question, sir. You mentioned that assets have been recovered in terms of the COVID-19 investigations. And so those assets, whether monetary or otherwise, those monies and the assets that are recovered, where do they go to?
It all depends. Once the matters are finalized, there will be a determination. The assets that we were hinting yesterday was that the FIC obtained 25 orders worth 274 million. The AFU got 42 orders worth over 331 million. The SIU obtained 29 orders amounting to 465 million. And the SARS obtained 22 freezing orders worth 740 million. Depending on the final order, some of the assets may go to the CARA, criminal assets recovery account, which at some stage that money can be given back to law enforcement agencies to utilize in fighting crime. Some of the monies, obviously, it will be returned back to the legitimate owners where the victim is known. So it is a different way on dealing with these matters. But once the order has finally been issued, it will be clear where the assets will be going to.
Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya heads the Hawks. Thank you very much, sir, for your time at this afternoon.